Hey Calum, how are you
Hi,
today?
I'm good. How are we doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here in your space and get to know you a little bit more, and which lead me to my first question. And when did you know that you were a product designer?
I've designed and made things my entire life, really. When I was a little kid, like my dad would just give me little hand tools, and I would just like build just anything really. Give me lumps of clay, give me pieces of wood. I'd just make things. In a professional capacity, I've always been involved in the design industry, but making physical products as opposed to computer-based design is maybe like the past sort of 4 years or so.
Okay, that's amazing. And also, what's kind of like your everyday today for you as a product designer when you come into your studio space?
Usually the day starts with planning my day. I don't get as much time producing work as I would like to.
And why is that?
Just because being self-employed, I have to do all my admin, I have to do all my planning, I have to do all my communications, all my interviews.
AKA us.
So probably about a third of my working hours is actually designing and producing work. The rest is all of that other stuff that's involved with self-employment, really.
Wow, and do you find that's often a struggle sometimes, having to balance everything all at once?
Yeah, because I want to make stuff all the time.
Of course.
But no, it's obviously very important to maintain all the other aspects of my business.
What was the very first product you've ever made?
This is going back quite a while now. My friend, who's a musician, was producing an installation back in Leeds, and I designed and built this big structure that projections would be, like audio reactive projections would be shone upon this big canvas essentially. So I designed that, but that's quite different from the things that I make these days.
Yeah. And what was that process challenging, or was it a new exciting kind of project to work on when you did that?
It was exciting because working with my friends on exciting projects, and I think that's probably the best combo you can ask for, really, working with your friends on creative projects.
What is kind of like your creative process when you're making a model or a product? Because I know now you've made a few product and commission and some just ideas that you've wanted to kind of make come alive.
It depends. It depends on the project, because if it's a commission, the process is quite different from my own project.
Yeah.
So if it's a commission, for example, I'll speak to the client and find out exactly what they're wanting, writing a brief, and then developing it from there, sort of tailored to what they want. Whereas if it's my own self-initiated projects from my own product collection, they kind of happen in a more explorative way. A lot of my work really actually comes from investigating processes. Okay. So I'll be experimenting with different tools and machinery or finishes and materials. It's almost like a sort of a concept that I can like distill into a product afterwards. So for example, at the moment I'm working on a side table which includes like this fluted texture on the surface. I was experimenting with that making process before I knew I was going to make the table.
Right.
So it's almost like the application came after the exploration.
Wow.
As opposed to the other way around. But that's not necessarily the only way that my creative process works. But a lot of them are like that, I'd say.
Oh wow. Is it things that you see on your everyday life that also kind of inspired as well the process, or to come up with like those type of like experimental products? Like how?
I guess it's quite a hard question to answer if you're asking about influences, for example. But one thing that I do try to focus on a lot of the time is considering other senses. So not necessarily just visuals. So it's like, for example, going back to the table I'm designing at the moment, a big focus of that is tactility. So a nice looking piece of furniture, but actually you interact with everything around you with more than just your eyes. You interact with everything through 5 senses. So even just the sound of things, like the sound of the wood when it's moving, or how it feels when you pick something up. Like all of those senses are considerations that I look at when I'm designing a product. I think as well, so that kind of informs the start of my creative process a lot of the time, but when it comes to actually designing the product and looking at what the end result will be, I always try to whatever the product is. So I like to think of my pieces that I design as having a personality, almost like character traits. So the nature of my work is balanced with a kind of, it's always utilitarian. Yeah. So it's always grounded in that sense, in that it has a function and that's its sort of foremost purpose. Yeah. But yeah, just to bring character to it through like these exploratory processes. So it has. I like to incorporate some sort of curiosity, but it might not be there at first. It might not be apparent at first instance. Yeah. But yeah, sort of balancing the traits that I appreciate in people. Yeah. Into my objects and into my products.
What's that kind of like the process for you to find materials?
The vast majority of my practice is based around timber. Okay. And
what's timber?
Well, just natural hardwoods. So solid timber as opposed to sheet material like plywood or MDF or anything that's processed like that. Yeah, I get pretty much all of my timber from a local sawmill just up the road near Dunfermline. And you can buy timber from anywhere, but a lot of the timber that is for sale in the UK is imported from all over the place. So like America, Europe, China, anywhere. But to me, it just makes sense to use materials that are close to us. Yeah. Like there's fantastic trees all over Scotland, all over England and Wales. It just seems silly that we import so much timber and we can just use the resources that are around us. Yeah. And I think, that might come at a bit of a premium, like a bit of a cost. But I guess that's just the way that the systems that we're operating in. But I think there's a resurgence of craft, and especially in the last sort of few years, the disposable nature of furniture has become apparent and everyone's talking about the climate crisis. So I think products that are designed with longevity now are becoming a lot more popular. So hopefully, with that sort of trajectory, people in my position will become maybe more appreciated just for what they're putting into the world and creating. But a lot of what exists in the world at the moment isn't designed to stick around. So yeah, if there's people doing the same thing as me with the intention that their work is going to stick around for a long time, then yeah, I think that is becoming more celebrated.
What drives you, like, in life?
The creative process. I think that's such an easy question to answer. I think not necessarily producing more stuff, because I think that is always on the mind of a designer who has like a physical output. Starting from nothing, like a human's ability to imagine something and have the foresight of what it will look like once you've kind of invested your time and energy into something, and then having an output that result is. I think that is. Sorry. Siri's talking to us.
Siri's talking to us. Yeah.
Siri, leave us alone.
We're busy right now. Yes.
I think that process is fundamental to human nature, and I think we've evolved to thrive off that. And I think the driving force for me with my work and life and everything else like that is just to upkeep a creative practice. I think it nurtures the soul like 100%.
I love that. That's very inspiring. That's inspiring words that I would take today.
Glad you feel inspired.
I feel very inspired. And obviously, which leads me to our last question is, what can we expect from your brand in the near future? What do you see?
You can expect a growing collection of my own branded products, which will revolve around furniture and lighting, and maybe some smaller homewares as well.
I love that. Well,
it's very exciting.
I can't wait to see, and I'll be the first one to be on the line to purchase those stuff right there. We're working towards that, because it deserves. At whatever price he puts, I'm there. I'm there to support him. Okay.
You said it now.
Super. Yeah. There's no coming back from that now. No, but yeah, I'm really excited to see what the future holds. And thank you so much for being part of this.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Thank you so much, you guys.